That's going to be my play. The only other play I'm going to do is I'm going to take a big shot here on a small play, right? And picking the round is one of the most difficult things to do. Frankie Edgar is a gamer, like I said, and Max Holloway always starts slow. So typically by the second round, now he's got his positioning. Now he knows where he's going to punch, right? And now he's got his angles going. And I think he's going to pepper Frankie quite a bit, right? If he doesn't take him out, it's going to go to distance, like I said. But I'm going to put that play on the fourth round as well. It's plus 800. I'll do a small play on there. If it hits, it makes your night because you do really well. It's sitting at plus 800 right now. Would Frankie ever quit? No. He's got a chin like a rock. He did get caught. He got caught, right, in his only loss. But ultimately, if it's going to end, it's going to be from a doctor stoppage because his face looks like mincemeat, and it's probably going to be around the fourth round. It's typically when Holloway really pours it on, and that's where I'm going to go.
So the fourth round at plus 1,000 for Max Holloway to get a KO. That's your prop bet, and the larger bet on going the distance at minus 140, correct?
140, yeah. You could take either play, 140, whoever's going to win. If you want to take Max Holloway, it's going to be plus 265.
Okay, perfect, man. So the spread is minus 140 going the distance, and for Holloway to win, it's plus 265 to go to distance.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. Yeah. And you can get it right now in the fourth round. You can get it plus 1,075. Right. So that's actually gone up a little bit since I was looking at it. So yeah, I mean, you pick the round, you could really make a nice payday, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Holloway wins by decision. I see at plus 230 here at 5 dimes, plus 260 at bet 365. So definitely shop that around a little bit. He lost to Poirier, right? Dustin Poirier, I believe.
Yeah.
And what was the deal with that fight? How did that happen?
Well, so they fought early in their career, right? I think it was Max Holloway's second fight, and they were just two young kids, right? And he ended up losing. Max Holloway lost that fight against Poirier. But look, again, they were young kids, right? Poirier's a bigger guy. Poirier is 155 he weighs in, but he probably walks in around 170, right? And I would say Max Holloway maybe walks around at 155, 160, okay? And they just, when after their careers kind of started there, Poirier moved up to the 155 level, made it easier for him. So when there was an opportunity to fight for the interim belt, he goes, you want to know what? I'm going to move up. I think it's going to be better for me. Mentally, it's going to be better. I think I'll be physically stronger. So they moved him up. But ultimately, Poirier was just too big for him at that weight class, right? He really gave him a beating. It was a 5-round, a unanimous decision for Poirier, but he really gave him a beating, right? And it just is what it is, and it happened, right? And Poirier's did lose a little bit of cardio in the middle of it, right? And that's where Max kind of took over for a minute, but ultimately it was just too much of a jump in weight for him.
Fantastic, my man. What do you have next?
Okay. Next one here is Jeff Neal and Nico Price. Okay. Here's another one that the odds, look, you're looking at a minus 350 for Jeff Neal, and you're looking at Nico Price at a plus 285. If you just look at their records and you say, oh, let me take a look at this, let me see how they do, you're going to say, oh, man, Nico Price, he wins a lot of these fights, right? He looks really good. Why isn't he getting better fights? Why isn't he up on the higher card? Well, look, Nico Price, I don't know how he does it, right? He's a nice fighter. He's dangerous, right? He's got that power. And look at all his fights. I mean, KO punches, KO kicks, punches, submissions, right? He's going to beat you up, and he's going to win. But he looks bad in doing it, right? He's going to get his teeth kicked in, and ultimately he somehow is going to win the fight, right? He's just a gamer, right? And, nobody understands how he wins these fights when he's getting his teeth kicked in, but he's got this knack of just winning fights, right? And Jeff Neal, he's hittable, right? He's slow, but he's got a ton of bricks in his hands. He's new to the UFC. He hasn't fought the best competition, right? He's been a prospect coming up, and now everybody sees him and they're excited. They think that he's going to be the next big thing. So he's making a big jump. He was on the early preliminary cards, and now he's jumping up to the main card. I mean, this is a big jump. It's the third to last fight, right? So it's a big jump for him. He did fight Belal Muhammad last time, and Belal Muhammad is a great fighter, very good fighter, very technical. He took him 3 rounds, right? Before that, he's knocking people out, submitting people, okay. So he's got this ton of bricks in his hands, and these guys are going to want to throw, and they're going to want to have fun doing it, right? Like I said, getting punched in the face. So I could see these guys ending this fight in the first round, right? I could see these guys ending it in the second round. Somebody is going to get knocked out, right? They're going to go in there and they're going to throw blows, right? Somebody's going to get hit with something, and all of a sudden they're going to be on the ground, and it's tomorrow. Okay, so it's almost to me is a pick'em fight because just the way that Nico Price can finish. In my head, if I see it as a pick'em fight, I can't go with a minus 350. I have to take the plus money, right? Because anything could happen, right? Anything could happen. A flying knee could happen when the guy's running out to start the fight, okay?
Like we saw last time, the quickest fight ever. It was, 5 seconds or something?
Yeah. Somebody could be down and out, and they take a swing and just connected the guy. In fact, Nico Price was taking a beating, and he hammer-fisted the guy from the bottom and knocked the guy out that was on top of him, right? So anything can happen, right? Nobody is out of it unless they're waking up for Christmas time. So when I look at this, and I'm saying, really, if anybody can get knocked out here, and this is almost a pick'em fight in my head, and I know that Jeff Neal is a really good fighter, and people love him, and he's one of those hot prospects coming up, and here's that hype machine coming up, I'm taking the plus 285 on that one. To me, it's a value pick, and just the way that Nico Price fights. If Nico Price was a jiu-jitsu guy and he had to get on the ground and he didn't have any stand-up and he didn't have any power, then you want to know what? Jeff Neal all day long. But I'm running with Nico Price and taking that plus 285 and rolling the dice.
Nico Price. And what I was talking about was UFC 239 when Jorge Masvidal came up with the flying knee on Ben Askren. It was the coolest fight I've ever seen just because of how fast it was. It kind of brought me back to the Mike Tyson knockouts back in the late 80s. You know, it made me feel like that, and it was awesome. It was just incredible how quickly this man got knocked out with that flying knee. I thought this is why I watched the sport. It was absolutely absolutely spectacular.
Fun. Yeah, man, it happens. So
all right, so we got a play on Neal at plus 285. The guy looks like he's hungry, so hopefully that comes to fruition for you. What do you have next?
Figueiredo versus Panteo, right? I keep saying his name wrong, but look, this is a preliminary card. It's going to be on ESPN2. It's ESPN2. When I say ESPN2, it's on their app, right? Mm-hmm. So you don't have to pay for the main card for this one. You're going to be able to get it just for essentially free if you have ESPN app. But I think this is going to be a really fun fight. Okay, there's 2 guys here. Both are really solid fighters at 125 pound weight class. They both got power. They both could throw. They both want to throw. I think this one, besides the Nico Price and Jeff Neal fight, this one ultimately could be a fight of the night as well. Okay, I like them both, right? I really do. And this fight is coming off of basically a pick. Okay, when I'm looking at it, I'm saying, man, this is basically a pick 'em. I really liked Figueiredo. I think he's really athletic and he does some really good things. But Alexandre, I really like him a lot, right? Especially after his last win against Wilson Reyes. To me, that was really, really, really impressive, right? Wilson Reyes is not an easy fight. I think I want to try to remember the odds that he had. I think it was a big underdog, that fight. Let me just go back and check it. That he was a favorite there too. But anyways, with that said, Wilson Reyes is a really good fighter. He looked really good against him. He is going to be a little bit of a favorite by the time this fight goes off here. I really like Padilla. I think this is probably the closest you're going to get to even money here. And I like Alexandre a lot in this fight. So even though a lot of guys are they're saying it's going to be a pick 'em, but I really liked Alexandre, especially the last way that he fought against Reyes. He's got nice power, very quick, very athletic, and I think he's really hungry and wants to get a title shot.
Yeah, he's definitely a pick'em in most of the books right now that I'm seeing. And obviously a lot of them don't even quite have lines yet, but they're starting to come out here. So Figueiredo or whatever, he's plus 100 to minus 120. So for Alexandre. So there you go. It's probably going to hover a little bit, I would guess.
Oh, it'll go up and down. Yeah. Up and down a little bit. Mm-hmm.
You don't see any public buying into one side. You think it's going to be kind of split?
Yeah, it's too early. It's too early of a fight, right? A lot of people aren't really watching that early, especially those early cards. So it's probably going to stay close to there, kind of see how their weight cut goes. Maybe if one of them have a bad weight cut. But, these guys have been fighting so long at that 125 level. I think they'll be okay. But really, it's probably going to hover around there. I would I don't mind laying a little bit of chalk here and taking Alexandre. Yeah.
All right, my man. Well, you didn't even talk about Chris Cyborg. Is it because my girl knocked her out a little while ago, or what's going on?
Listen, Felicia Spencer, she's a massive underdog, right?
Yeah.
You listen to anybody and everybody, and they're basically saying a round one knockout. You want to take Cyborg round one, Christiana. I don't say her last name. Justino. Yeah. You can get it at like a minus 140 first round knockout, but you got to pick that round, right? If something happens other than that, you lose, right? So picking a round is pretty difficult, but from what's everybody's saying and really what it is, it is what it is. And maybe Felicia's got a way to kind of stay back. Maybe Cyborg blows her gasket and blows her wad and then she gets exhausted, but who knows, because she's got that fantastic cardio as well. I mean, I think she runs 10, 15, 20 miles a day, something like that. But, look, if you want to do some prop bets, if you go over a round and a half, so 7.5 minutes, it gets to 7 minutes and 51 seconds, right? Or 7 minutes, 31. Look, you're a winner at plus 175 if it goes over. Everybody's expecting this, the bookmakers, everybody's expecting this to end in the first round. And even at the first round, if she wins by a knockout, it's a minus 140. Okay. If it's round two, it's a plus 425. I can't see it go past the second round just because she is so good. And, maybe, again, she thinks she blew her load real quick against Nunez, right? And she made a mistake, and she got caught, and she lost, right? And that's MMA, and nobody expected that to happen, so she kind of blew it on her own end. And with that said, I think she's got something to come back and fight here and do it. But I'm just really not comfortable in this fight to tell you that she's going to knock her out in the first round or whatever. If you want to do it, I think it's a good play. I might end up doing it last minute, but, I'm just,
wait on a little bit, think a little bit more about it.
Yeah, I got to think about it. Yeah, if I do, it'll be a small play.
The only fighter, it looks like, that Taker 5 was Holly Holm, which is obviously a very respected fighter. If you look at, Cyborg, it looks like she has a couple TKOs and KOs in the first. The fact that this person's a nobody, and the fact that the last time she fought was Nunez, that was 7 months ago. It was in 2018, December 29th. And I'll tell you, man, she's hungry. I mean, I almost feel like this would be a good bet coming out in the first round here. What were the odds in the first round knockout here?
Minus 140.
So it's even still it's even still at minus money to pick her to win in the first round. But maybe throw a little beer money on it, right? Nothing.
What? Yeah, that's probably the play. Look, Felicia Spencer, she's had one fight in the UFC, one. And she beat Megan Anderson, who's a nice fighter, but she beat her, right? And the girl is 7-0, but she was fighting an Invicta before that. So, she's got good ground game, but heck, Chris Cyborg she's no joke. She's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, so she probably doesn't want to go to the ground or stand with Cyborg. She probably wants to go to the ground, but ultimately that can cause her an issue as well, right? Yeah. So, I mean, look at all our fights. You know,